Just after 12 noon Pacific time from Las Vegas, you're listening to Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports. Dan Duva, Gary Lawless coming to you from City National Arena, Studio 31 here in downtown Summerlin on what is a beautiful Monday, March the 18th, 2024. It is not only a beautiful day here in Las Vegas. Gary, did you look at the weather? It's going to be in the mid-70s all week. This is great. What a time of year as we go down the stretch. 15 games to go in the National Hockey League's regular season.
Can't decide what I'm more excited about this week. There are a variety of things. The weather. Vegas plays Tampa tomorrow.
Yeah.
Brett Howden's sitting right beside
Brett Howden's about to join us
One
here.
of my all-time favorite Golden Knights.
Yeah.
And Bruce Springsteen.
The boss.
The boss is here, and I have tickets, and you have tickets.
Yes.
Friday night, T-Mobile.
Yeah.
You may be the star tomorrow and Thursday. Not on Friday, my friend.
Brett Howden is here in studio with us, and thanks for everybody joining on Fox Sports Las Vegas over the air at 98.9 FM, 1340 AM, and all across the Golden Knights streaming channels. Brett, it was just hours ago that the Golden Knights pulled off what Gary and I were talking about as one of the most impressive performances for the team in recent memory, maybe since the All-Star break. How did you guys do it against the New Jersey Devils last night?
Yeah, well, I think after the Calgary game, we definitely wanted to come back with a big game for ourselves and feel good about ourselves. And obviously, where we're at in the standings, we need all the points that we can get. So, it was a big game for us, and every game moving forward here is a big game, and we just want to keep building our game. And last night was a really good start for that.
Those Sunday afternoon games, I love them because, often I'll bring my family, and then we'll, because we're already on the strip, we'll say, okay, let's go for dinner, and we'll go for dinner somewhere. Last night we cooked instead. Anyways, you had your family there yesterday. Yeah. That must be fun for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My son's been to a few games, but typically they're a little too late, so he gets a little cranky by the time he's home. But yesterday with the early game, it was pretty fun for him and my wife to be there and to be able to see him after the game and go home with him was pretty cool.
What's your son's name?
Charlie.
Charlie,
yeah.
And how old is Charlie now?
Charlie is turning 1 next month.
What do the players call him? What do your teammates call him?
I don't know. I don't know.
Howitzer. I've heard the Howitzer a few times.
What, the little one? Called him the Howitzer? I don't know. There's a ton of nicknames, so I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah. Is he on his way to becoming a hockey player yet?
Yeah. I mean, if
it's never too soon.
Yeah. I know he's got a little Vegas Golden Knights mini stick, and he's got a little ball that he doesn't really play with, but he chews on.
Yeah.
So there's a start.
Yeah, biting right into it.
You have a big family, and so does your wife. It's one of the things that, I've been lucky enough to know you for quite a while. But the Winter Classic, for instance, you had your wife's family in for that as well, and your family. Family's important to you.
Yeah. First and foremost, for sure. Our families mean everything to us. It's the only reason I am where I am today is just because of my family and all the support. And I'm the youngest of 4, so is my wife. So for us, it was pretty cool. To us, we had the coolest siblings ever growing up, and we both felt like that. And I think that's why we both want to have a big family. Is just how we were raised. And it's for us to have our own little one now, it's pretty special. It's pretty cool, and every day is a great day.
What are the barbecues like in Oakbank in the summertime?
Yeah, they're good. My dad runs he's got a lot of toys at home. He's got a smoker, a pizza oven, the barbecue in the back. He's got it all. So whenever we're home in the summer, we like to do some big family nights at his place, and my parents love that. They love when everyone comes over, and actually the same thing for my wife. We go over to their place, and they do the same thing out on their farm.
Do you ever get everybody, like your 4 siblings and her 4 siblings, together?
Usually once a summer we get everybody together. Everybody's pretty much around the same age, so it's always fun getting everyone together, and then especially all the kids. We have lots of nieces and nephews, so when we get everyone together, it's a bit of a zoo going on, but it's a lot of fun.
I think Gary's lobbying for an invitation.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
No.
sounds
great.
like it. Eh?
Well,
Hey, Howie, come on.
Well,
Just kidding.
I'll tell you, one way to ensure that everybody gets together is to bring the Stanley Cup. I mean, that'll probably bring everybody.
Yeah, that was the one main meet and greet this last summer, which was a pretty fun one.
Yeah, and let me tie the two things together, Brett. You talk about growing up, how family is so important and remains now. How does that upbringing translate to your hockey family? You know, you're fortunate. Many of us are fortunate to grow up with great families that are very close, and I'd imagine that leads into how you create bonds with people in your hockey life.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially being away from your hometown in the summer or where you grew up your whole life. It really is important having a close team and being together every day. And I've been very fortunate wherever I've played that I've been part of a close group, and I think this group here is the closest I've ever been a part of. So that's obviously super special, and then obviously winning with that type of a group even makes it better. So I think not only for the players but even for the wives, just for them to have each other, especially when we're on the road. For them to lean on each other and while family's all the way, it's like a big happy family here. So it's been incredible, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
Recently, the way the team has played, you have won 3 out of 4, and that kind of gets lost a little bit. I think because of the way it went against Buffalo, Columbus, and then Calgary, there was some discussion about, and amongst yourselves too, about, the want and the hunger and that sort of thing. Is it helpful at all for you to think back? Like, remember how emotional you were after you won the Stanley Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Is it helpful for you to remember how great it was to win, because no less than Ken Danico, who was, in the press box yesterday, was talking about how when they won the Stanley Cup, it was hard to play the regular season the next year after. But if you get in the playoffs, you're gonna automatically feel that juice again.
Yeah, I mean, you can already start to feel it. It's coming down to the wire here. We've put ourselves in a position that I think obviously we didn't want to be in a wild card spot right now, but that's where we're at, and we understand that. And we got some big games coming ahead, but we're still we're building our game to get where we want. Last year we built our game all the way up to the finals, and I think that it's a process, but right about now is when it starts to really kick in. And like you said, when you get that taste. Well, I think Martinez told me last year, how cool it was to win for the first time. He said it gets even better the more you win. So just to hear that, obviously you want it more and more, but just to hear that, it's pretty cool, because it gives you more drive. And I think lots of us were winning it for the first time last year. It was a whole whirlwind. It was crazy, but to hear Marty say that, obviously it'd be pretty special to do it again.
You were overcome. Like, when I approached you on the ice after the game, you were emotional.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was very emotional. I mean, your whole life, as a kid, you're on the outdoor rinks or wherever you're playing. That's all you dream about. You talk about the Stanley Cup and pretending to win it, and being players that have won it. And then so just afterwards being down there and seeing my family come out, it was really emotional, and it was one of the best days of my life. It was unbelievable. Next to having my son, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, what a year! What a few months!
Yeah. That was crazy. We had Charlie 3 days before the Jet series, and then it was crazy. Going back to Winnipeg to play my hometown in the playoffs, and then winning series after series, and then eventually winning. It kind of felt like a blur, but it was incredible.
What do you spend more time with? Looking at, or your Stanley Cup ring, or the replica trophy?
Yeah, well, you know what? Whenever people come to town, like my family and stuff, a lot of them haven't seen it, so I'll bring it out to show them. And everyone's so excited about the ring, which I am too. It's unbelievable. But just to see the Stanley Cup, I think with all of our names on it, it's pretty special. It's so cool. To even have that as a memory, just to see all of our names on it is remarkable. But both are unbelievable. But to have that little Stanley Cup sitting out is a pretty cool reminder.
So our names are not on. We're not among the 52, but our names are on. Dan's name's on his replica, and my name's.
So
on
I got
my
to ask
replica.
Gary. So Gary, on your bookshelf, which side faces out? Is it everybody's name or is it your name?
It's everybody's name.
That's what I did too. You can turn it around and you can see your own name.
But I'll be honest with you. Like, I was very excited when I got my ring. I'd been lucky enough to get a championship ring in the Canadian Football League as well, which is for Canadians. Those are two pretty cool things, CFL and the NHL.
Yeah.
But when I got the replica, like, I raced home and put it up. Like, and it's not.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of trophies hanging around the house. This one's in
No trophy room at Gary's house?
No, but this one is in. Like, you walk into my house,
There it is.
you're gonna see it.
Yeah, spotlights.
It does have a spotlight.
Smoke signals come through. Brett, you mentioned Alec Martinez. I mean, he's got his name on the real Stanley Cup 3 times. And he's talked to us. And I should mention Braden McNabb in this conversation, too. He was not a player on the 2012 Kings, but he was a Black Ace. He just come over, so he was around that team. They win in 2012. The next year, 2013, they went down to the wire and missed the playoffs. And then, of course, they come back and win the championship again in 2014. You can ask Alex Petrangelo about the year after St. Louis won it in 2019. Of course, you had the weird pandemic and that whole thing. I wonder, you mentioned Martinez, those guys who've won it before, to come back the second year, how might those players' experience be beneficial to you guys?
Oh, immensely. Huge. I mean, even going in the playoffs last year, just to, have the experience that we had, the guys that have won it, for us to be following them, for them to be leading us, we were very lucky in that department. A lot of guys that have been through it, been through long playoff runs too. I guess a lot of the, the Golden Knights, the main guys, the Misfits, they had been through it and hadn't won, but just all that experience, really adds up and it goes a long way. And then obviously, like you said, the guys that, had won it and then played the next year, that goes a long way too. And I was actually talking to Marty the other day, about that, and he was just saying you get everybody's best every night because you're the champs. So it is tough, but for them, I was asking him about it going back the next year, him winning with LA again, and he said that was the lockout year, I think, the shortened season.
12, 13.
Yeah. So he said it was a little bit different that year, but it's going to go a long way having those guys lead the way.
How good was your line yesterday? Like, it looked to me, Will Carey he scored 16 goals last year, and then he had a lower body injury before the playoffs, and he wasn't even supposed to return. He did return, and by his own admission, he didn't think he was himself until Game 6 of the Dallas series and then into the final. Then this year he has an upper body ailment, and it really changes the way he can play. Now all that's behind him. He looked fast. He looked powerful. And you and Keegan, like the three of you looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to you guys on the radio yesterday, it looks like he hasn't missed a beat, and he was off for several weeks. So it just goes to show for him, how good a shape he's in and how well he takes care of himself and how professional he is with that. For him to look like he hasn't, missed any time at all. The style he plays, especially, it's not an easy game that he plays. Every shift he's out there, he's hitting bodies, which, takes a lot of energy out of you. He's driving hard to the net. Everything he does is at a high pace. So it is a game changer having him in the lineup. And
he changes the team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Changes
For sure. He brings, so much energy and so much more depth to the team. It's obviously huge having him back in the lineup, and you can just see the dynamic changes when he's in.
You just said it. just moments ago, the team had an optional morning skate. By the way, our guest is Brett Howden here on Nighttime at Noon. Jack Eichel was talking with the media, and it was asked an open-ended question about the different aspects of the team. And he was talking about the goalies, the defense, the forwards. But the first people that he mentioned by name was your line, you and Will and Keegan last night. It's noticeable, and you say it's hard to play the kind of game that Will plays. But, boy, it is hard to play against you guys when the way that you guys played last night. I mean, throw the goal into boot. But even, you would have gotten the third assist. Gary's favorite thing is the third assist. You would have gotten that on Carrier's goal. Yeah, you make the play to Hannafin, Petrangelo, Carrier tips it in. But, that has to be part of the mindset to make it incredibly hard for other teams to play against you guys. Yeah,
well, I think, for me, I've kind of been back and forth in the middle and the wing. And then, when I go back to the middle and, having Coley and Will on either side, they make it so easy. They're, you know what you're going to get from them. They're super easy to play with. We all have a similar style of game, I think. The same mindset of, getting pucks in and being hard to play against and, trying to be that energy for the team. So I think, last night for us having our first game together in a while, because I had told you, we played quite a bit my first year here together. It felt kind of like that again, where we had that, we were reading off each other pretty well, I thought. And that's one game. Obviously we got to reset and, be ready for tomorrow. You can't just expect that's just always going to happen, but it was pretty fun for us to kind of have that feeling again and, hopefully do it again tomorrow.
And speaking of tomorrow, Tampa Bay Lightning. Whenever you say Tampa Bay Lightning to Brett Howden, that's who drafted you. That's where your professional career began in the American Hockey League in Syracuse. What do you think about when you go up against your original NHL team, the team that drafted you, even though it's been a few years?
It's been a while. I think earlier on it probably meant a little bit more going up against them when I was playing in New York for the first couple times, but I really didn't spend too much time there. I spent a couple training camps there. I got to know some of the younger guys pretty well, just from development camps and things like that, and my time in Syracuse a little bit. So it's fun to see those guys again and stuff like that. I think for me it probably means a little bit more playing against New York just because I spent my first couple of years there. But I mean it is always familiar, playing against them and kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, and interesting because I always think about this for guys who were part of the team. A player leaves, that team goes on to win a championship. In Tampa's case, they won 2. Yeah. Now here you moved on, but now you've got a championship yourself, so that's kind of you could wipe that away, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I played with Nemestikov in New York, and he was part of that same deal.
Yeah.
And, he gets traded, and it's just how things go, I guess. They go on to win 2 Stanley Cups. I'm very fortunate that I got to come here and win one myself. So.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Gary, anything else for Brett?
No, it's 12. We've kept him in for a while.
Well, we could chat all day.
Charlie's waiting for him. We got to probably go feed him his carrots or whatever he's having today.
Yeah. No worries.
Brett, thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Brett.
Brett Howden. Last night, didn't get a point on the goal, but he would have if they credited a third assist, setting up Hannafin to Petrangelo. Petrangelo shot off Carrier into the goal. Knights had tied the game 1-1, and then Jack Eichel made it 2-1. Vegas, empty netter William Karlsson, and the Knights defeated the New Jersey Devils last night 3-1. We'll take a break. More when we come back. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Good afternoon, everybody. 12:22 Pacific Time in Las Vegas. This is Nighttime at Noon. I'm Dan Duva with Golden Knights insider Gary Lawless. Well, the most exciting games of the Golden Knights season are upon us. Catch them all. Plus, the first round of the playoffs with the new Nighttime Plus deadline deal. When you subscribe to Nighttime Plus, gain access to VGK Classic games, exclusive content, every episode of Nightlife, and more. Don't miss a minute of the action. Subscribe now at nighttimeplus.com. Back inside our Summerlin studios. Studio 31 here at City National Arena. Dan and Gary with you, taking you right through 1 o'clock. Great to chat with Brett Howden. Always a fun conversation.
Yeah, when he arrived here, I always go back to what Kelly McCrimmon said when he traded for him. Brett had not had a lot of success with the Rangers, but Kelly knew the player from when they were both in the Western Hockey League, and he said, I'm betting on the person. And it was a good bet. Brett was a real good player for Vegas last year, and in particular in the playoffs, really fit well with Stevenson and Stone.
So I met Brett in 2016, 17 in the American League, and he still had another year of junior hockey to go. When did you first come across Brett?
Well, he's from he's born in Calgary, but he grew up in Oakbank, Manitoba, which is just like a farming suburb of
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
One of those places you used to live.
And I worked in Winnipeg for 18 years, so I've known Brett for a while. His family is a hockey family. I have a little hockey history for you, but you have a question first.
I was just going to mention it is Brett's birthday on the 29th, so he's going to turn 26.
Yeah, still young.
You still think of, when you met him, that's why I asked him. I mean, he was a teenager, but, he's still young he's just about to turn 26.
On this day, in 1892.
1892.
Lord Stanley, he was the Governor General of Canada. He sent a letter to the Ottawa Hockey Club stating his plan to purchase a Stanley Cup, to be a Challenge Cup, to be awarded to the hockey champion of Canada. He bought a punch bowl, silver, that became the Stanley Cup.
What a punch bowl.
What a punch bowl.
Wonder what the first beverage was in that punch bowl.
And if you had have said to Lord Stanley in 1892, someday this trophy will reside in Las Vegas.
He would have said, where?
Where?
Battle-born, 1864.
Even if you think about it, I'm born in 1968, and there was expansion in the NHL then, and a number of times since. Like when Arizona got a team, I was like, what? Arizona?
Yeah.
And when Vegas was first awarded the opportunity to see if there was going to be interest, when Bill Foley and Peter Sadowski and Todd Pollock first kind of came to Vegas and started asking people, would you buy tickets if we brought a team here?
Yeah. Go tell Lord Stanley about that.
No one knew what was to come.
Yep. And conversations persist. Who knows how things will unfold with Atlanta joining the conversation, et cetera, et cetera. That's a whole show in itself about where the NHL might play next. We will hear from the head coach of the Golden Knights, Bruce Cassidy, coming up shortly. The team had an optional practice today. They were on the ice at about 11. You had, maybe just shy of a dozen guys on the ice. But after that optional practice, the head coach, Bruce Cassidy, spoke to the media. We're going to hear that coming up in just a few minutes. But Gary, before we get to Bruce Cassidy, we did hear his post-game press conference yesterday, and he echoed some of the thoughts you and I had on the radio, which were in the category of the complete type of game, the sort of performance, the compete level, everything was there. What were some of the things that you observed now that you've had a few hours to process what we watched?
Well, the charts or the analytics say that the Golden Knights had 5 high danger chances of their own, which is low event. They only gave the opposition 2.
Yeah.
2 high danger chances.
Yeah.
So Logan Thompson had to be very good early, and then 7 shots in the first, 7 shots in the second, 7 shots against in the third. But that's the winning formula for the Vegas Golden Knights. If that's what we saw yesterday can be duplicated, tomorrow against Tampa, and onward and onward, well then, you know, there's a reality to be talking about potentially going on a run here.
Yeah,
like that game had to be found. We saw it yesterday. Now they have to consistently produce it.
Yeah, we saw the first game out of the break against the Edmonton Oilers. At the time, they had won 16 in a row, going for the record. Challenging Vegas, of course, in the division standings, and there was a lot on the line coming out of the break. And Vegas played, and Edmonton played well too, but it was a great game. But Vegas played that type of game. I think last night's game against New Jersey was the best performance, the best type of hockey Vegas has played since that game. You also mentioned the game in Toronto. Vegas won 6-2. I thought that the Devils played really well. And they had played the night before, had given up 3 early goals and then lost 4-1. They're desperate. They're on the outside with several teams to try to jump. They've got a new head coach and Travis Green, interim head coach. It just seemed to me that with Jake Allen playing really well, it was the type of game that New Jersey, if they play that type of game a bunch more times, they're going to win most of those games. They never score first. They trailed first 49 times this year, and they scored first, and they still couldn't win because I think it was just that good of a showing by the Knights top to bottom.
Yeah, Detroit has 74 points. They're the last team in the wild card slot in the East. New Jersey now is 68, like a win, and they're only 4 back, and they've climbed over a number of teams. You know, right now there's, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New York, Washington are all ahead of them to get to Detroit. So it was a huge game for New Jersey, and Vegas just didn't give them any life. They didn't give them a chance.
They had a big win against the Dallas Stars.
6-2
and then they come to the
week,
desert, lose to Arizona, and lose to Vegas.
And not to mention, Jake Allen was really sharp last night.
And he had been the winning goalie against the Dallas Stars. But then, of course, the loser against Vegas yesterday. He gave up the 2 goals. Third Vegas goal was an empty net goal. We're going to hear from Bruce Cassidy in just a few moments. First, let us tell you about the Foley Food and Wine Society, created to celebrate 3 of Bill and Carol Foley's greatest passions: world-class wine, exquisite and exceptional cuisine, plus magnificent travel destinations. Members of the society will have access to an entire portfolio of properties around the world and have the exclusive opportunity to join like-minded individuals who seek to experience the finer things in life, just like Gary. Join for free by visiting FoleyFoodAndWineSociety.com. We'll be right back with the head coach of the Knights, Bruce Cassidy. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Welcome back, everybody. 12:33 Pacific time on this 18th of March, 2024. Golden Knights and New Jersey Devils facing off yesterday. Knights victorious 3-1. Tomorrow against the Tampa Bay Lightning at T-Mobile Arena. That'll be a 7 o'clock start. Thursday against Seattle at 7:30. And then Saturday against the Blue Jackets also at 7:30. And then begins a 4-game road trip for the Golden Knights. We'll hear from Bruce Cassidy in just a moment. First, we want to get the inside scoop on the Vegas Golden Knights' 23 Stanley Cup championship run. Well, there it is. Purchase It Hurts to Win, the official inside story of the 22-23 Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. You can get it online or any of the team stores, written by members of the Vegas Golden Knights organization, including Chairman and owner Bill Foley, President of Hockey Ops George McPhee, General Manager Kelly McCrimmon, and select players, plus the Golden Knights insider and my partner Gary Lawless. It Hurts to Win includes on-ice accomplishments, behind-the-scenes storytelling, anecdotes, and vignettes that will be shared for the first time. It Hurts to Win is now available for purchase in-store or online. Great, great item. There you see, if you're watching on our streams, Gary's got one of his articles there on the screen. Great deal. Great deal. Check it out. You can find it in all the team stores online as well. All right. Head coach of the Golden Knights, Bruce Cassidy, spoke with the media earlier today. Knights won yesterday afternoon against the Devils. Optional practice today. Let's now hear from head coach Bruce Cassidy speaking to the media earlier this afternoon.
Hey, do you like Lawless? I guess they try to work their way back to it.
Well, just some consistent play every night. They're at their best when they're defending well, executing a good first pass. There'll be some secondary offense there every once in a while, but it's more about playing against the advantage we have when everyone's on is I think every pair can play against any line. And that's kind of the message of consistent, solid defensively, reliable, predictable. Nick obviously plays, well, they both play penalty kill, maybe a little more. That's their special team where they can help contribute to. And that's it. And to stay in the moment here. We have 8 healthy NHL defensemen, so that's 2 have to come out. And it's not just about performance, it's just about what we have, and we're healthy there. So that's a little bit of, they got to not get in their own way, you know, when they get back in there and think they have to be the best player on the ice that night to stay in the lineup. That's not the case. Just be the best versions of themselves and make it difficult to get taken out. And that's probably the message to everybody, right? That if they get in that mix, that's the best way we can put it for them. Be good teammates when you're not in, and they are. They're great professionals. They were great yesterday, and so I expect that with all our guys, to be honest with you, because it's a good group. I thought they moved the puck well. They stayed out of trouble for the most part, in and out of their end, defended well when they had to, and they moved it up to the forwards and clean. You know, it was a clean game for them. Best way to put it.
We talked a little bit about having 8 healthy defensemen, and now obviously the team isn't that on the injury bug for quite a while. You've got a relatively healthy roster outside of Stone and Hurdle, as you guys were fighting for these last 15 games. How crucial is that?
Well, I mean, it's important. It's hard every night when you're missing personnel, and we've seen it this year. We're not at the level we want to be. Our game isn't there, and where we expect it to be in terms of points. But that's life some years, and you got to get through it. So I think it's important now that we're healthy, probably more important now than maybe at the beginning of the year. If you're ever going to be able to time it out, you'd like to have it down the stretch when points are at a premium. So we know Mark's not coming back anytime soon. With Thomas, there's some uncertainty there when he'll be in the lineup. But at the end of the day, the guys that are healthy have to make it happen. And Jack, you're starting to see his game. He's played a few more games in a row now. Will Carrier scores a big goal for us. Hopefully his game comes. He missed lots of time. So, yeah, I think any team would tell you if you can have all your guys in, you're probably going to be at your best. The difficult part is, to Danny's questions, you're having to tell some players are not in the lineup that, you know, certainly can be, but it's just part of the job.
Can't be an easy conversation with two guys that, you know,
Well, it wasn't. I'll be very upfront. Well, that's part of your job. At the end of the day, they're people first, right? And, they're not happy about the decision, and I tell them that you don't have to be, and I don't expect you to be. You just have to respect it where we're coming from. Two guys have to be out, and it happens to be them. So that's the gist of the conversation. It's trying to get them to be in a good place so when they get back in, they're not antsy about this having to be their best performance, like I said, because then if not, they're coming back out. You got to kind of get them comfortable with the decision, I guess, and why, and then when it's their turn, then hopefully they have prepared themselves to get in there and be good players. That's all I can ask.
What do you look for tomorrow in terms of trying to continue it's 3 out of 4 wins now?
Well, when it gets going, not how we like it, right? Like get back on track quick. I mean, that's, to me, good teams do that, right? I talked about this a lot last year. We were an imperfect team. We found ways to get back on track and play winning hockey at the right time and find ways to win. Whereas I think in this stretch we went through where we weren't winning, I thought we were a little bit finding ways to lose. And that's, that's when things can get away from you. So in game, when you're starting to do things that going to lead you down a negative path or whatever, you got to get back on track. And we did a better job with that yesterday. There weren't those long stretches. It was like, oh boy, we're going to just keep mismanaging pucks over and over or take bad offensive zone penalties, whatever. You know what I mean? You get in those. That's what we got into. We didn't get into those ruts yesterday for very long. And if we did, we got the save, and then we got back to work. So that's what we'd like to build off. Get your game in order for longer stretches, right? And I think when you do that, those are the best teams usually, that when they can get to their game and stick to it, they have the personnel to be good, then they're usually going to be good.
How did you feel about the play in front of the goals yesterday? I know there was a lot of opportunity in front of their goal. I think you guys cleared out pretty well in front of the goal.
Slot battle, I thought, was in our favor. Has to be against Jersey. They got a lot of smaller, if you look at their top line, Hughes and Bratt particularly, if you give them time and space, they're dangerous. You got to force them to get inside because they're not as big, right? And make them work to get in there. And I thought we did a good job with that line. It's their most dangerous line. Obviously Meyer got inside a couple times, big man. We got the call to go for us early. That helped us. But yes, I thought we were better, and we had a determined effort to get to their net front. And we need more of that, to be honest, every night from our forward group. We talk about our D a lot, but our forward have to be a little nastier too in those areas because we are a big team. And Will Carrier's goal is a good example. Yeah, it's a fortunate goal, but he got where he was supposed to go. Take away the goalie's eyes. He was playing well, Alan. Everything he saw, he stopped. Now get in front. Get a few of those goals to go your way. So we certainly need more of that. And I thought against Detroit, we did a great job doing that as well. And we got 5 goals, right? Or 4, sorry. One was an empty net, but that's just the game.
Do you feel like defensively you're still striving to get back to where you were last year in that respect?
Yeah, I thought yesterday was a good game in that regard. I thought we played very well defensively, showed in the analytics, showed in the eye test, against a pretty good offensive team. I know everyone's missing some players, but they can score if you give them, they're dangerous. So, and I thought Detroit too, they're a very good offensive team, and we did a good job. So we're getting there. Calgary, we were okay, right? It was 1-0. It's just going to Gauch's that comment is we just got off track for too long. So, but yes, it's better, and that's what we'd like to see more of that shutdown sort of mentality. Because I certainly thought we played well enough to have the lead and didn't get it until later in the game, and we would have checked well. It just seemed to be our mentality yesterday.
Showed well on eye test and analytics. I'm curious, from your perspective, what are the metrics that you put weight in on the defensive end versus early? Is it something that's slowing down some?
Usually the slot chances is first and foremost, high danger chances we look at, rush chances, which we've been on the wrong side of too often lately. To me, that's puck management. Usually means we're going one way thinking the puck's going that way and it doesn't get there, and execution, and sometimes it's structure and not a good high forward. But in general, those are the ones I look at because those are probably your best chances against. Rebound chances, are we clearing out, are we boxing out versus trying to block a shot? And that's an internal discussion we've had a lot. We're a great shot blocking team, but when you're blocking a shot, it doesn't allow you to recover. They're probably going to get there first if you're the one blocking it. So should you be boxing out and tying up guys so your teammates can be the one recovering it? So those are some things we look at for sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Nick Hague is 6'5", so he can box out better than, say, Theo or Marty, just because of his reach, and he can get into people quicker. Some guys are just naturally good at shot blocking. They just have a sense of when the puck's coming off the stick, and so and Marty, right? He's good at that, and it's a big part of his game. So we're trying to coach what they do well, but still have an overall view of, okay, I think this can be better for us. When you're blocking a lot of shots, sometimes you're in front of the goalie too, so the goalie doesn't see the puck as well. So boxing out allows him to see it, puts a premium on him to make sure he stops it. So there's value in both. You just try to find the best balance.
You mentioned uncertainty with hurdles or a setback, or do you feel
No. I just meant that with his injury happening in San Jose, I mean, our medical team has a timeline, I guess. I'm not going to give it to you, but I guess what I was saying is he hasn't been with the team skating. So for him, it's almost, I don't want to say out of sight, out of mind, but you know what I mean? Like when he gets here, it'll be a luxury, I guess, because we haven't had him all year. So it'll be a good day for us when it does happen. And we're anticipating it happen, don't get me wrong. It's just we have never played with him, so it's hard to evaluate our team, what it's going to look like, because he hasn't been in the lineup.
What point do you start having a conversation with him about this is what we do?
Well, the assistant coaches will sit down with him and they'll go through a video package of here's how we play. I think once he gets on the ice, then you probably get him up to speed there. There's no use doing it today when he's not able to practice with the group and sort of live what we've just sort of talked to him about. So it'll be coming.
You mentioned that you guys aren't where you want to be as far as the point standings go, and obviously the end game for all hockey teams play in the playoffs. And I asked Phil earlier if being the defending Stanley Cup champs adds extra pressure. He said that he thinks that sometimes the team is too hard on themselves. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think our last clear memory of this team was the Stanley Cup run, and we were at our best. And probably why we won, right? Because the team that is at the best at the end, and that's what we remember us being. So now that's the standard, and you forget sometimes that in season last year we had pockets of our game where we were right before the break, we were fighting for slipping down into wild card, and then we got it going to be a first place team. So sometimes you forget that there's going to be stretches where your team's not as good as you'd like it to be, and coaches do that all the time, right? We're always striving to be perfect team, and even though it's tough to do. So I think the players would be the same. And that's okay. It's okay to have a high standard. I think you should. Most organizations that do, they shoot for the top, or put the time in to get there too. So I'm okay with guys put pressure on themselves, but not to the point where it affects what you're doing every day, and you're going home and kind of getting in your own way every day either, right? It's when you come to the rink, let's get that standard. When you leave the rink, put it aside till the next day.
Over the New Jersey Devils yesterday, Gary, and anything stand out to you from the head coach's comments? Started off talking about the 8 NHL defensemen currently at his disposal.
Yeah, you can tell that Bruce is focused on the positive right now. I think he has held his team's feet to the fire, and now wants to get moving forward. Like wants to use positive affirmation from what we saw yesterday, and the team has won 3 of its last 4 games. We lose sight of that because the Calgary loss was so disappointing. It was an important game for the team, and they didn't play up to their standard, and they all pointed to that. And Bruce was, his comments after the game were pretty pointed. So it looks to me like he really wants to focus on the positive and move forward in that direction. And he did say we've got 8 NHL defensemen, and I go 9 because I go Keegan Korczak, who's playing in Caden Korczak, who's playing in Henderson. I think that he could be a part of the picture in the playoffs if this team gets into it. It's up to the players now. They know what they have to do. They have the ability to do it. They have done it. They just have to replicate it.
And Bruce said about the defensemen and Nick Hague, Zach Whitecloud, the guys on the outside looking in. Ben Hutton goes in, 500th NHL game for him. Alec Martinez has played over 800 in the NHL now. Bruce said about those guys, specifically Haig and Whitecloud, meaning the guys who are on the outside. It would apply to the others, whoever might be out of the lineup. Stay in the moment. Don't get in your own way. Make it difficult to be taken out when you are in the lineup.
Yeah.
And then if you're not in, be a great teammate and be a great pro. And, when there is that internal competition, we talk about it often, the goalie rotation, and Logan Thompson played very well yesterday too, back and forth with Aiden Hill, it looks like, in the upcoming weeks. But that's an interesting part of it, Gary, because you never know when the depth is going to be tested. You never know when your number is going to get called if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, there are players who would rather play and have their team lose than not play and have their team win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, it's the ultimate test of a teammate. Will you sacrifice your personal involvement for the greater good of the team? And I'm not suggesting that Nick Hager or Zach Whitecloud do that, because frankly, if this team is going to go on a long run, those guys are going to play again.
Yeah, they played almost all of the games in the postseason.
For sure.
last year. Yeah.
But right now, the team was better yesterday than it was on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's that's the best way, the simplest way to put it. So use the time right now when you're not in the lineup, because I don't think either of those guys will play tomorrow night. I think I'd be shocked if Bruce changed his lineup.
Yeah, when you play like that, you almost want to just copy paste, just pick up where you left.
Yeah, he might switch his goalies. That would be the only change. So use this time to, work on some things. Use it as rest. Get your body where it needs to be. Sit upstairs, watch the game.
Cleanse.
Yeah, whatever
Refresh.
it has to be. And then when, if the team falters or if an individual falters and your number's called, go in there and do your job and and find a way to make the team better.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up, take a look at what's coming next for the Golden Knights and the standings. Holy cow, it is becoming quite close with 15 games to go for the Knights. You are listening to Fox Sports Las Vegas. Final couple of moments of the broadcast here at 12:54 Pacific Time. Dan Duva, Gary Lawless, nighttime at noon. Before we wrap things up, we'd like to tell you about AFC Bournemouth, part of the Foley Entertainment Group. AFC Bournemouth is climbing the table in the English Premier League, where they take on some of the best football teams in the world. Show your support for the Cherries by catching their matches via stream on NBC's Premier League coverage or streaming on Peacock. Make sure also to visit the Arsenal at City National Arena to pick up some Bournemouth merch, including jerseys, scarves, and more. To learn about and be a part of the club's exciting new era, visit afcb.co.uk. Up the Cherries. All right, Gary, we've only got a minute or so left here. Only 2 games on the NHL schedule today. Calgary hosting Washington, Buffalo at Seattle. Clearly the Kraken and the Flames in the division. On the outside of the playoff picture, Buffalo and Washington in the Eastern Conference. Who would have thought that they would be this close to the cut line with just a couple of weeks? It's 15 games for the Knights remaining, but a few weeks left in the regular season. My question to you is, Gary, here, if you could solve the NHL's world in a minute and a half that we have, would you change or not change the configuration of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I would not change it. That would be like trying to find a solution for no problem. The races are fantastic. If the playoffs start tomorrow, the matchups are fantastic. This is one of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs is right there with opening weekend of March Madness as the greatest spectacle in sport. Don't fool with it.
Devil's advocate, because I agree with you. More playoff games, more television broadcasts, more money, etc.
No, right? That would because you devalue the regular season games.
Yeah. This is fun right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're already in the playoffs.
And some of these teams, like for example the Washington Capitals, if they shouldn't get it. Frankly, they're minus 30 in the goal differential, but it is close. So an exciting last couple of weeks. Talking about busting the brackets in college basketball yesterday. I'm with you. Leave the Stanley Cup playoffs the way it is. I don't care if there's 32 or 34 teams. Leave it the way it is. That'll do it for the show. Golden Knights Lightning tomorrow. It is 7 o'clock at T-Mobile Arena. Thanks to Ruben, Bryn, Ron Paul, everybody on the PR staff. Terrific job. Justin, for Gary, Dan Duva saying so long from Summerlin and City National Arena on Fox Sports Las Vegas.